Sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you as always on a Monday. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salad to discuss the latest and the greatest in the NBA. Combo, what's happening, my man?
All is well, Coach Nick. How are you?
I'm good. You know, just have a good weekend, relaxing. I've given up no caffeine, no sugar for over a week now, no dairy. So I'm sleeping better than I ever slept before.
That's amazing. Sleep is really important. It's the way you recharge your batteries. And with those lifestyle changes, I could see why it would allow you to have better sleep.
Yes. Well, caffeine is a big one. Even if it, like, I could probably fall asleep on the couch if I have a Coke and then, I can nod off. So it's not like it keeps me awake and gets me wired per se, but it does affect the sleep overall in general. And so when I get rid of that, I sleep much deeper. My watch tells me and monitors all that. So it's definitely worth looking at. And besides, caffeine isn't healthy, I think.
I think in moderation, it's not bad. But yeah, I think everything you do too much,
All you coffee drinkers. I've never had coffee, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, let's get into some basketball. We had some interesting stuff happen over the weekend. By the way, I was just talking to another coaching friend of mine, and I was working with the team yesterday. Small advantage, big advantage that leads to a shot. This is Brian McCormick's Saba. Small advantage, big advantage. It's the way we want to design your offense, right? It really helps when you use those terms when you're trying to shape and encourage players to learn like good shot selection and how to sort of get an offense to work in the 5-man unit. And you can demonstrate no advantage, you can demonstrate a small advantage and then a big advantage. And then once they start to learn that, it's like it becomes so clear so quickly what a good shot is. And then it kind of starts to bleed into then they're playing even the 3-on-3, 4-on-4 small-sided stuff. So I was getting that a little bit yesterday. I'm going to have to film some of this stuff. I feel like it'd be maybe even better to see it. But it's a great way to coach it, and the kids really respond.
Sometimes what the stats don't show is when the player themselves create a bunch of advantages over the course of time. You think of players who, like, it doesn't really show up in the stats. Like, I think of Draymond Green, right? And I think of a lot of other players. I even think of Jokic, even though his stats are crazy on top of it. He's constantly creating advantages throughout the course of the game that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet.
Yeah, well, that'll get us to, well, first of all, we can talk about Zion about this, but also to tease a little later, we'll talk about Luka Doncic, where the Lakers offense is kind of patently unfair because Luka can create a small advantage at any millisecond he wants. And anything he can do, he can get a small advantage, which forces the defense to move. And then when they kick it back out, now it's LeBron being able to attack a big advantage. Whereas in the day, it used to be LeBron having to create all those small advantages for his teammates. Now he's getting the benefit of that. And it's rough for the defense when he gets to attack a long closeout from the wing and just split and go or whatever. Forget about trying to stop that. It's not perfect yet, but they're certainly getting a lot of opportunities now and creating for everybody on that team. And meanwhile, Zion Williamson is back and doing a lot of the same stuff that we've been used to seeing. It's kind of like no one's talking about him. Is he not in the discussion these days?
I do want to get to Zion in a second, but I also want to build upon your Lakers point. I was thinking about the Lakers, and everybody calls it small ball because they play without a center at times. But who in the West is going to be able to stop Luka Doncic and LeBron James in the paint when the playoffs roll around?
Right. That is a great point. And also, like, I could do a pretty cool edit of all the passes that they're blowing. They're throwing some amazing passes. They're not used to Luka yet. I can think of one with Vanderbilt letting it go right out of bounds when it was a beautiful pass. So this is the time. It was good that they got Luka when they did, because they'll have a month or two to kind of get on the same page. But when you play with someone like Luka and LeBron, by the way, you almost think that they should have already been ready for this. You got to be ready for any kind of pass at any moment from any angle. And they're still struggling a little bit. And then also Luka and LeBron are struggling a little bit to kind of get on the same page too here and there. So it wasn't perfect, like against the Clippers yesterday. It wasn't perfect, and the ball was getting thrown around a little bit too much. But when it's clicking, you can see what's going on there. And I think I'm actually making all the points I was going to make for the Lakers segment, but we'll do it now, I guess. I think it's really up to JJ. He needs to find the optimal lineups. I don't think he's found that yet. Who's going to play with who? How are they going to do it? They're getting the data all mashed up together right now, and they'll figure that out, I guess.
I mean, if they haven't figured it out now, then the league is in trouble. If
Right.
you're saying there's a lot more to figure out, I mean, they're 6-1 with Luka.
Yeah.
They've been the best defense in the league for a little while now, and LeBron James is playing like LeBron James. Like some of the stats that we're seeing was stats that he had with Miami, very similar. So, I mean, if you're saying they're not figuring it out now, and also Luka's going to get in better shape, we all know that. Man, it's scary for the rest of the league.
Oh, I agree. And I feel like they have officially put themselves into title contention now. And but it just seems to me, and they have a lot of options too. That's the thing. Some teams aren't that deep, but they have. I mean, I think they started Gabe Vincent yesterday, and they're just trying to figure out who can they play alongside, what works, the spacing, all that stuff. So Jackson Hayes. How many minutes are they going to play with LeBron playing like the 5 without another big? Does that work? I'll check that in a second. I didn't want to look at that 2-man lineup or that 5-man lineups when LeBron's the biggest player on the floor for the Lakers. So that, the beauty of this is that they have a lot of options, right? Dalton Connect, like how do they want to integrate him into their rotations as well? And it'll work at its best when they get that solidified. And then, the guys off the bench know exactly when they're coming in, exactly when they're coming out. They don't have to necessarily even worry about how they play, right? Which is a good way to play the game when you're not worried about screwing up and getting benched. So I think that's what this next month is going to be for as they head into the playoffs. And, the question is, a lot of times I feel like NBA coaches don't understand lineup data well enough. They don't look at it properly. They don't really focus on it and figure it out. And so as a result, you'll see random by the gut instinct, substitution patterns and stuff like that. I would think that JJ is going to be a next level here. And I think we talked about this before. At some point, AI, I think, is going to take care of this. They're going to be able to in real time crunch these numbers and even know like when players are getting tired and all kind of stuff, and be able to just dictate when you should be subbing and not subbing, and based on the other team as well. And then that will change the game radically.
I mean, we're all using AI on the day-to-day already. At least I am. I mean, I use ChatGPT almost every day, and that's a really basic version of AI at this point, which is also really great. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that's part of the reason why NBA defense and NBA offense has got more efficient over the past few years. There's more information. There's artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and human intelligence equals enhanced intelligence. And we're seeing that in the NBA as well.
For sure. I mean, maybe we're not yet. That's the thing. Like we will at some point, but I don't know if any team right now is leveraging AI to help with lineup data. But
I think they are. I think they are. Well, they're definitely doing like some augmented reality, virtual reality type stuff in terms of reading the floor and making reads with like goggles on and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely trying. I mean, teams are trying to get an edge for sure.
Yeah, and I talked about that 10 years ago, or like at least 8 years ago, about being able to wear AI glasses, VR glasses, and then literally you can watch yourself make shots. You can edit it where you're in your environment, and it was recorded as you shooting. What's weird is that how do you know it's you? I guess you recognize the back of your hand as it comes up in front of you and shoots it. But I would argue that spending 5 minutes watching yourself in a VR mode making threes or making free throws would be as important as then going out before the game and warming up and taking those shots in real life. I think it's almost as important, if not as important.
You mean visualization, basically?
Exactly. But like it's hyper visualization. It's literally like it's real. You're looking at it
on steroids. Visualization on steroids.
Because remember, like when players struggle, it's because they just can't even see the ball going in. They can't picture it going in. Like the whole mental thing gets blocked. So you can limit that or eliminate that because you'll be able to literally conjure that up in your brain with your eyesight at any moment. And I think it's powerful. I think you've ever gone on those rides where they have this at Universal in LA. It's the Simpsons ride where it's a big screen in front of you and you're on a chair that starts to move and tilt and go forward and backwards. And as the screen makes you feel like you're going down, like, on a roller coaster and around, and you literally could get motion sickness, even though you're not really going anywhere, right? That's how powerful the imagery can be when it's done properly in a big enough field of vision.
Yeah, no, we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff in the NBA over the next decade, or even before then, with artificial intelligence. But so we could shift to Zion. He's been over his last 8 games, he's been averaging 26, 6, 5, and 65% from the field.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. I was about to call that up myself, so I'm glad you said it clicks. And by the way, let's do a quick thing. What's up, Johnny, Ricardo, and Chip? Chip's out there with us watching the show today. Always great to see you out there. The referee who's been on my show a lot of times. We love Chip. And looking forward to, as we move into the playoffs, we'll see how that's going to work with my schedule. But yeah, we'll have to have them come in and do some stuff because, there is some refereeing things that have been popping up, maybe more recently or maybe more often, and people are a little bit upset. So we can get into that a little bit. We have some super chats. Well, from Cade Cunningham. Let me put this one up here. Thank you so much. It's great to have you back on the show. And as always, if you want to ask a question, have us answer it. The best way is on the super chat way on the YouTube side. So Kay says, who's a bigger disappointment, Suns or Sixers?
I would go with the Sixers.
Oh, I was going to say Suns.
I mean, the Sixers are an absolute disaster, a total disaster. The Suns are a disaster, but the Sixers are one of the biggest disasters in NBA history.
But it's all like based on injury, right?
I wouldn't say all. Some of those contracts are not aging well, and it feels like some of those players that Morey picked up on the offseason for players that were going to help Joel Embiid win a championship, that hasn't aged well either. So, and then obviously, look, man, it's still a disaster. The injury is part of it. Even though the disaster is somewhat out of your control, it's still a disaster. Right. It's been like, because like this team was supposed to be a legit title contender, and they're bad, and their record is worse than the Suns.
But it couldn't be a legit title contender without Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid has just been completely broken down. And now they're talking about breaking his hip to try and fix his knee issues. It's like I'm unaware of that, by the way. I know that there was whatever the term they used, the doctor's like, oh yeah, we do that, but like I had never heard of that in the sports context before. That's how desperate they are to try and solve this knee issue he's got. I want to see real quickly what it was.
You know what? I think Sixers fans were upset that he went to play in the Olympics. Yeah. But I would say to that, maybe he knows that his career is not for long, and he might not ever have another chance to play in the Olympics again.
I mean, remind me, did he get banged up in the Olympics? I don't think he did, right?
No, but they're just saying he should have rested during the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Yeah. I mean, God forbid it would be even worse if he did, if he got banged up there, but at least he didn't there, I don't believe.
I mean, we talked about this, Coach. Like his knee hasn't been right since last year, for a long time now, even when he was putting up big numbers.
And by the way, Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, they've played 15 games. They've had that 3-man lineup for 15 games. That's it. But guess what? The net rating in those 15 games is negative 0.5. So it wasn't even doing great in 294 minutes, which isn't a lot of minutes, but it's something. And that's what they were banking on, right? So, okay, that's one example where it's a problem. Now, on the flip side, Phoenix has had less injury problems, I think, if we counted up the number of games. I think they've had more. In fact, let me do the Beal, KD, and Booker.
Yeah, they've had some time together to be able to play together. I mean, KD.
So Paul George, Embiid, Maxey, 15 games, 294 minutes. Let's do the Phoenix side.
They've played more together.
They play together more. How many? Probably twice as much, I bet, at least. So in there, let's see here. Durant. What are we looking for? Durant, Beal, Booker. Oh yeah, 31 games. So twice as much, 551 minutes. Hey, that's pretty good, Coach Nick. Almost had it right. Guess what their net rating is as a 3-man unit?
What?
Negative 1.9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's even worse. And we now know that KD wants out. He wanted to get traded to a contender for the offseason.
I mean, he blocked the Warriors trade.
Yeah, that was weird. Then didn't he say something later on where it's like, let's just deal with that in the offseason and maybe I'll go there like after the fact. Like, did he say something like that? I feel like that's what I'd seen. I don't know.
He didn't say no to the Warriors, but it sounds like he don't want to go back.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Although I don't know, that was after the Warriors got, or was that before they got?
Before. Yeah.
I mean, listen, if he wanted to get to a contender, if going to the Golden State Warriors would have gotten him right back in contention. But he got a lot of crap for doing it the first time. I suppose he might be, sensitive to that.
Maybe there's still some, obviously he's been on Draymond's podcast and everything seems cool. He played with Steph in the Olympics, but maybe just, maybe there are some hard feelings there. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, because remember, he got hurt and then he left. I just kind of feel like he was villainized for going there after, they went, 71 and whatever, or 72 and 10, and then lost. And he went there and they won.
I think it was 73-9, right?
9, forgive me. Yes. Yeah. Gosh, it's been that long. And so, I think he got villainized for like that decision. And then it made they made like a video game style, advantage. But I don't know if it was like, but I think that's part of the problem is if he goes back again, I don't know if he has anything to gain in his legacy wise. And I think I would imagine that KD is interested in his legacy a little bit. Would you say?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But he wants I don't know.
He's an historian of the game. Like, you could tell he really loves basketball, and I'm sure he wants to be up there among the greats when it's all said and done, which he is already.
Oh yeah. I mean, is he top 10?
He's very close to it if he's not.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to have to bump one of those guys out at some point.
I mean, he wins if he wins one more championship, then he's top 7 probably.
Wow. Yeah. Right. Well, now we had to talk about LeBron. Well, LeBron's already top 2, I guess, right?
He's probably top 1.
1A, 1B.
I don't know, man. I mean, this longevity thing is a real thing, but
well, yeah, it is. It's amazing what you can do in this day and age. D-Rock, thank you so much, D-Rock. Really appreciate it for the super chat.
Thanks,
great to
D-Rock.
see you here. Zion doesn't want New Orleans. How about Brooklyn? I feel like that's been a rumor in the past too about Zion going to Brooklyn maybe at some point.
So Nick Claxton's still there, right? Cam Johnson's still there, right?
Yeah.
Cam Thomas still there, right? I mean, they'd be pretty good. They'd be pretty good. I just who would they give up though? That's the question.
Right. I mean, well, New Orleans got kind of stuck here because they could have just sort of tanked and then really went all in.
I thought. And I think what they should have done was trade Zion to OKC and get a whole bunch of draft capital.
Okay.
And I think it would. And I think honestly, after this Luka thing, OKC needed Zion to win this year.
Well, it's tough because before the season, or depending on when you're talking about, it wouldn't have been worth the risk. I mean, it might still not be worth the risk to trade for Zion, right? I mean, listen, he's played a bunch of games in a row, so it feels like okay, and he looks slimmer, right? He looks like he's in better shape.
Yeah.
So that's all really good. But if I were a GM, I would need a full season. He's got to play 70 games, and then prove that he's not going to break down like that. Now, that said, let's get into the game itself. But while he's back, in all those numbers those Gaudy numbers you already did. And we got a good question here. All right, we'll have to do a question I just see in the chat that only because the guy's name is Nick and my name is Nick, maybe we'll answer it even though it's not a super chat. But I'll put that pin in that one. But as far as Zion, he has no gravity. They're picking him up in the lane, even when he's doing point Zion, bringing the ball up, right? But never before can I remember a guy who can take advantage of it that much more. Like if you want to give him that much room because you're not afraid of his shot, which you shouldn't be, he gets going and he's going to spin over his right shoulder and then lay it in with a nice touch around the basket. And he's got really nice touch around the basket, but he has no touch outside of the 8 or 9 feet. It's really interesting. So, but he's one of those guys. I'm trying to think of others. I can't think of anybody like this who's been so dominant in this big of scoring who is getting played like he's getting played.
Well, Rondo was dominant in his own way. Very different than Zion.
No, it's very different. And Rondo never scored at the amount that he's scoring.
No, Rondo had some he never scored like Zion, but he did have some huge scoring games in the playoffs before.
Right. Well, how many points per game did you quote before in the last?
Oh, he's getting 26 right now.
Yeah. And by the way, it's 26 points a game, and he's probably averaging around 27 minutes, right, or 28 minutes. Did you see?
The minutes aren't on here.
All right, I'll check it out real quick. That's another thing you got to take into consideration. I think that there's a minutes restriction for him. He's not playing much more than about 29. So he's doing all of this and all this production. It's really ridiculous, right? Plus, he's not like Magic Johnson passing, but he's got nice feel.
He's always had nice feel since high school. Always was a good passer. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that you factor in, and he is the most at that whatever position he plays, right? Because it's a throwback. The guys this kind of position, this kind of player had gotten retired out of the league pretty quickly, right? Oh gosh, who was the guy in Denver who was a really good athlete who couldn't shoot? He had some crazy dunks, and he had a huge contract. Come on, dreads. Who is it
Don't compare Kenneth Faried to Zion.
Oh, Faried. But it was like the really strong guy doesn't shoot the ball, whatever, if in that position. And then that you had to start shooting threes to be able to play in the NBA around that time. So
but the handle and passing is that's right. The big and then Zion's even a crazier athlete on top of that.
Yeah, it's funny. I would have liked to have seen Kenneth Faried handle. I can't ever picture him even trying to dribble. Maybe that's why, because he couldn't, but I don't know, but remember, he was an explosive athlete, really strong, really, powerful down there near the basket. But that kind of player was retired out of the NBA pretty quickly. And so here we have a resurgence of this. It's kind of nice. It's nice to see a guy who doesn't stretch the floor at all and just be overwhelming.
Well,
It's overwhelming.
Here's another guy, Barkley.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
What about him?
It was kind of
like that.
Yeah. He's I mean, there's nobody exactly like Zion, first of all, but he's something like Zion.
Yeah. Now, and Zion I don't think he's getting up as high as he used to. He's adjusted pretty well. And Barkley isn't as strong, I think, as Zion, right?
Barkley was really strong, man.
I know, but Zion is, I think, and then it probably is evidenced by just like, the weight is one thing. And what's funny is they would say Barkley was kind of overweight too at some points. You look at him now and like in his prime, he was not overweight at all. Like, he was.
Well, I think rookie Barkley was overweight. And then I think some of the vets kind of like had talks with him and taught him how to be somewhat of a professional. Right. Yeah. I think it got better over time.
And Chuck always had the caboose, so that was sort of what made him bigger and had bigger.
People, I was thinking like people always like have nostalgia about the '90s, and obviously he was dominant. He dragged that Phoenix team to the finals. But that basketball wasn't efficient basketball. Like they would just give it to him and he would like back down like 3 people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I don't know how much he had to drag. He had Kevin Johnson. He had Dan Marley. He had.
But he was clearly the best player. He was clearly the best player. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great series.
He actually won MVP that year, right?
What's that?
That's the 1 year Barkley did
MVP that year. That sounds right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we got that. And so anyway, let's just get back to where we were as far as, this was the last one we had. So Zion, how about Brooklyn? So yeah, Brooklyn, I don't know. I mean, Brooklyn has picks, but I don't know if they want to, use them for Zion. They're probably looking at maybe somebody else. But then again, they got burned when they tried to get, Durant and Harden and Kyrie through there and it didn't work. So I don't know what's going on. I got to tell you, Brooklyn, I was watching the clips between, who am I looking at? It was maybe Cade in the Nets. Was it Detroit? Let me look real quick. What was I watching? It was either that or Zion. It was Detroit against the Nets. As I was going through Cade clips, Brooklyn wants to lose, right? They're tanking. They're doing a pretty good job of it, but you still could do that without sacrificing like fundamental play. In a way. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the Nets are they're winning 35% of their games. So they're like way out of anything top 3. There's teams that are way below them now. So I don't even know what the tanking situation is there, but they don't look like they're well coached. And that's frustrating to me watching. Losing guys, not picking guys up on a baseline out of bounds. Weird stuff. It's like just, and that's why teams are bad, right? They blow that kind of coverage, but I would expect to see a little bit more from them. And then, at the end of the games, if they want to tank, that's when you change up your lineups a little bit, right? And then you can kind of stay close, be entertaining, but then, the other team won. I don't know what's going on there, but have you seen that at all?
In terms of?
The Nets and sort of the poor fundamentals?
I mean, I thought they were well coached this year. They were trying to tank forever, and they even traded some players away to try and tank. So I think he's been doing a good job with them.
Okay. All right. Well, we shall see what happens when they turn the corner. Pookie, thanks so much, Pookie. Always great to have you. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Can you see them moving on from Embiid next season? Good question.
Who would trade from him unless they got like some insurance policy going on, right?
Yeah. Right. I don't know. It's at this point, it's too scary of a proposition because you have to assume the worst, right? It's really not great, and in terms of his health. And so if he can't stay healthy, and his salary is gigantic. I don't even want to imagine what it is. It's got to be. Let's see here. Should we tell everybody?
Oh no, he's making I think over 60 at some point.
Are you kidding? Let's see here.
Yeah.
Here's his contract. So he's got his current contract next year is $55 million. The year after, 57.9. The year after that, 62.6, and then it tops out as a player option at 67.2. So that's 4 more years. So you'd have him. It wouldn't be like he's going to leave if you trade for him. But man, oh man, I don't know. That's a really big, I like. And then if you had him and you wanted to protect him, then you can only play him. I don't know, 26 minutes a game.
The managing minutes thing is tough because players, they're less likely to get injured, but they also never get into a rhythm.
Right.
So
would they want to move on from him? Because I think that maybe that's more of an interesting question. Because again, who's going to trade for that guy? I don't know. But I would think that if Philly could find something that was good, they probably would. Wouldn't you think?
But nobody's trading for him after this season. He has to come back and play a little bit.
You never know. Like, what if some team has some, we have a trainer that's going to, solve his knee problems. We know what to do, whatever. We're going to trade for him. I mean, let's just say that if that were going to happen, I think Philly would certainly entertain every offer that came in.
You never know. I mean, the Mavs traded Luka Doncic in his prime, so who knows? Anything could happen.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think that they would really look at a deal right now if someone wanted to offer them. So, at the very least, if you're looking at it from the Sixers perspective, I'm sure they would if they could get a good deal. They're not going to be like, "Whoa, not trading Wembanyama," kind of thing like that.
I mean, obviously the knee is not in good shape, so if they could get off the contract, they would.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just do this real quick question because I saw this in here and I know it's not. I won't put it on the screen, but I'll just say it. Oh wait, where did he go? Okay, Coach, why did you easily put LeBron over Kobe? That's an interesting question. Kobe in certain circles is elevated a lot higher than I think everybody else thinks he is, right?
I would say that's true.
Yeah. So, I don't see how it's even a possibility you'd say that the Kobe's over LeBron, right? It just doesn't seem like it's not possible, right?
Yeah, I don't think he was better than Kobe. I don't think Kobe was better than LeBron.
Right. Like Jerry West, you could argue that he was the best two guard that the Lakers ever had,
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah,
he was great on both sides of the floor, and he could shoot it. The only problem I think, and by the way, the problem I have with Kobe, I think I said this over and over again, is that he was also a lot more efficient than Kobe, right?
Shooter.
And that's it. And coaches like efficiency, right? They like guys who take smart, good shots. And so Kobe was probably the best bad shot maker of all time, but it also led to lower field goal percentages, and which isn't optimal for the team goal. And he seemed to bristle over that a lot. He seemed to recognize it and didn't care or whatever, or was overcome by the competition of the moment, and just felt like I need to do this because no one else can shoot as well as I can. I'm going to do it, whatever. So it just felt like I guess in this respect, if I was on his team, I think it'd be really frustrating to play alongside.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's an all-time great. I would say that I think a lot of people would have Steph over him, and I have Kobe over Steph.
Oh, wow. Where would you put Steph versus Kobe? Now that's an interesting one.
I think to me, Kobe was a better player than Steph.
I don't know. That's an interesting one. Now I'll have to kind of meditate on that one for a little while, Combo, but you just blew my brains. Kobe, and I never heard anyone talk about Kobe and Steph in the same comparison.
Combo, he's a different kind of guy, that guy Combo.
Hey, we should should I do a little quick thing, a little poll in the chat and see what people think?
Yeah, sure.
How do I do that again? I have to go over to the YouTube stream. Let me see if I can figure that out. I forgot where I go to get the here it is. Anyway, I'll do it later if I have a chance. Or maybe we'll count it up in the comments. Let us know what you think about Kobe versus Curry. Okay, so let's get to I think there's another super chat. Yes, there's Caius is back. Thank you so much. I'm a Kings fan. Can they make noise this postseason? JP for Domas is a down, but the depth is there and the team is deeper and plays harder now. Right, well, they got Zach LaVine, so they're a different team. I don't know, because it's weird. They went on that run when they changed coaches, right? And they were really playing well. And I feel like they've come back down to earth in the last several games. Let me just see here. So let's see. The Kings are, where are you? Yeah, they're 6-4. They've won 3 in a row, and they're 9th right now. In the meantime, the Warriors had jumped up here with the Jimmy injection, and the Clippers are struggling a little bit. So, and the Rockets are kind of struggling too. And Memphis is too. Denver, I feel like people are down on them on Twitter, but when you look at them, they've won 7 of the last 10, and they had a bad loss the other day. People didn't think they competed, but at any rate, I'm sure it's a good reason.
Who versus Celtics?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have Aaron Gordon, right?
Oh, right. They didn't have Aaron Gordon. So if you don't have Aaron Gordon, then all bets are off. I'm not going to even consider what's going on with the Nuggets yet. And they've been playing pretty well. So anyway, so the Kings, can they make some noise? I don't think so. I think that they could probably sneak in on that last spot in the play-in and get the 8th, and then they're not beating OKC, right?
No.
All right. Now, how they make noise by winning X amount of games? How many games can they take off of OKC?
They can win 2 games, maybe.
Really? 2? I think that they can win maybe. I'll give them. I think they can win 1.
I'm saying like at the high end 2.
Yeah. I mean, and that's if OKC is fully healthy and they got Chet and they got Hartenstein. They have enough to be able to handle DeMatteis down in the post.
I really think the Lakers would beat the OKC. Not to start to go away from the super chat. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, listen, we can talk about the Lakers in a second as well on that. And that.
I wonder what the Kings' future is, though. That would be interesting. Like, where do they go from here?
Right. Well, they got to make a decision about the coach, right? Because I think he's still an interim, if I'm not mistaken. So they got to figure out Doug Christie is somebody who's played there and represents the last great era that they had. So maybe. But we have a best friend of the breakdown, Alan Tran. Always great to see you. Thank you so much, Alan. I would love it if Zion could develop a playmaking game like Magic or LeBron. Well, guess what? I'm in the video I do on him. You'll see he does. He's got the feel like we talked about. He doesn't necessarily throw like no look passes and make it really fancy, right?
He makes the right reads for sure.
Right. And it's easy because there's so much gravity for a guy that doesn't have any gravity, right? Once he gets into that red zone, then everybody inches out. So he's getting easy assists when he just kind of quickly kicks it to the 3, and the guy and Trey Murphy is 5 feet behind the line and just nailing it because the closeout can't get there. Even when that help is not even that far off of Trey Murphy, right? You don't need much. He's really tall. He gets way behind that line. So I'm seeing a bunch of that kind of stuff from Zion. But they have some nice, clever stuff as well, where they'll hit Zion in the high post and they'll cut off of that, and little bounce passes and stuff like that for layups. So he is there, and he can throw lobs, and he's got that whole game. So I think that I don't know if he'll ever develop into like the Magic style, right? But he can be a guy who's that height, bringing the ball up and facilitating. So I don't know if we'll ever see like that. Now, LeBron is different from Magic as well, right? Magic was a lot flashier, right? And was more risky in his passes, I feel like, than LeBron ever was. And so that's a different thing. Now he could turn into like LeBron. Right?
I think LeBron is actually a better half-court passer than Magic, and Magic was better in transition.
Okay. You know what? That's interesting. I'd almost argue that perhaps it's because of the offense, because once they got into the half court for the Lakers, it was
what do you, you're just dumping it down, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Then he didn't really have a lot of
now it's like split spread pick and roll with advanced reads, right? It's just different.
Yeah, it is different. And I think that obviously Magic would have been amazing with the space they have now and getting downhill more. But it ground down pretty quickly in that half court once they had to set up. So that's a good point. I think it's a good separation there, is that Magic in the open court was certainly a better passer and more creative and all that stuff. So, but I think that Zion could be in the LeBron mold for sure.
Also, Magic had like James Worthy running the floor and Byron Scott, and
like,
he had great like guys running with him,
Yeah, and Zion, all he needs to do now is develop a little bit more like the skip passing for shots. Like that's what he doesn't really do yet either, like, which is one of those vision things that you see like Luka and LeBron so good at, right? And they're just firing these.
Yeah, I mean, even Trae Young at his size.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's get to our next super chat from DeAndre Morris. Thank you so much, DeAndre. Lakers are number 2 in the West. Wait, is that right? Do they already get to number 2?
They are.
They're tied with Denver. Wow.
JJ's doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you did a good job getting Luka, but they're getting somewhere. But I'm telling you, there's more to be squeezed out of that team. So let's see if he can do that. Now they're not going to catch OKC down 10 and a half games with only 20 left or whatever it is, 20 some left. But
what makes you feel there's like he's not maximizing them yet?
Oh, I mean, I just think that there's just roles that are solidifying in terms of, and you just need more data, really. Like who should Dalton Connect play alongside, and how can we unlock more from all their other role players? I'm forgetting now. Like Gabe Vince.
So you're saying it's not JJ; it's just the amount of time they had to look at it.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It's not even like a criticism. I think. I mean, it will be if they don't figure it out a little bit more. But I just think like there are moments where They're just kind of throwing lineups out there to figure out who's with who. And once they figure that out, then you're going to see them play even better than they are now.
Would you be surprised if they won the title?
No, I mean, I'm firmly putting them in a title contention right now. So
like top tier title contenders.
Yeah, I mean, I would put them in the, like I just saw a graphic, I think, on Twitter where it says something like the only 4 contenders are Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder, and Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Well, how about Denver?
I don't know. Are they?
Yeah, I think you could put those 5 in there.
Okay. And your mic sounds strange now all of a sudden, like you're not.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just.
So okay, Denver could be like a little tier below, I guess. But let's get Aaron Gordon back out there. Let me just see him all together with Russ, completely healthy. Give me a couple games, and then I can make a final pick on that one. Anybody else?
In the contendership, I don't know. Clippers were kind of in there, but they're not. I don't know. Maybe after watching that versus the Lakers, it's not as not as compelled. Bucks have a chance. Hey, I think Giannis is actually better than ever. He's being slept on this season. Yeah,
he is. He's probably having his best individual season that we've seen.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah,
and you never know. You could get vintage Dame in the playoffs. You never know what could happen.
Right.
I mean, the Celtics are tough, though, man. They're tough.
I watched the last 5 minutes against Cleveland when they kind of fell up. Well, they didn't fall apart, but they lost the game. They had a big lead and they lost it, despite having huge games from both Tatum and Brown, which you shouldn't. At home, you can't lose those games. And I was about to do a video, but I kind of missed my window, and then I think it's a little too late now. But I'm concerned. I don't know how I feel about Boston. I gotta tell you, like how I said, I wouldn't want to play alongside. Who did I say?
All right. How about this? If you had to put I don't know, some money down, you would pick Boston or the field.
I would probably. Well, I would take Cleveland over Boston right now. So
that means you would get the field, definitely. Yeah.
So I think I would take Cleveland. The problem I have with Boston is it's the way they run their offense is it's not clever enough for me. It's like too much pressure on everybody to kind of have to be remember the small advantage, big advantage. They're not running anything to begin the process of getting the small advantage enough. It bogs down.
They're playing the math game though. That's what they've been doing. I
know, but you can solve that math game a little bit, like the Cleveland Cavaliers did when they had that kind of length. So I would be worried.
Al Horford's moving really well for his age.
Yeah. But I don't know how impactful he is these days. And remember, the Cavaliers are going to have home court advantage when they meet, so that'll be a huge advantage for them. So I don't know. I'm just not sold on the Celtics. I'm sorry. They have to prove it to me. Maybe I wonder if they play them again. All right, let me look at this. Where is the schedule for the Celtics? I'm kind of curious. What's the next big game they have?
Clip this and make it like a mid-form video.
You're the master of all. But here's the. Let me look at the. Okay, so they play the Lakers on Saturday. That'll be a good test for them. And by the way, how much pressure do you think the league has to have Lakers and Celtics meet in the finals?
I just want to see Mavs and Lakers more than anything. That's what I want to see.
You want to see the Mavs and Lakers? Okay.
I want to see Luka Doncic average 40 and take them out in 5 games. That would be hilarious.
Well, I just want to see AD get back on the floor. I don't know. He's not due back for a while, I think, right?
That got to be the worst trade move in NBA history.
Could be. I mean, yeah, because, right, Luka is it's weird. He was out for all those games. He wasn't ready to come back, right, supposedly. But then he gets the Lakers, and within a game, he's now out there, and he's playing regular minutes for the most part, and looks fine. So does that tell you that he really was healthy and that they were trying to trade him a lot longer than they said they were?
Well, they tried to trade him for Ed Edwards. You heard about that?
Right. Yeah, I heard about that too. And they said no. So suddenly the things don't seem to match up, right? The stories aren't quite jiving together. That's an interesting thing.
Would you have done that if you were the Timberwolves?
Would I have taken Luka and sent away Anthony Edwards? Could I include Rudy Gobert? If I could somehow get
no, how about no? Would you do it?
I would take Dwight Powell back.
No. I said no, straight up. Would you do it?
Probably not.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards, he fills seats. It's all that stuff too that you had to take in consideration. Because I suppose there are certain stars that really put up numbers that aren't like draws.
I guess Josh Hart said, "Who's the untouchable players?" I guess we found one. Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, it probably has to be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the best American we have now. I mean, under 36, right?
Under 36?
Yeah, I mean, because then if you want to talk about KD, Steph, and LeBron, put best American. Remember, I've been doing recently.
Yeah. I mean,
three.
Yeah. No, definitely the best player.
But so he's eclipsed Tatum by now, right?
I think he's better than Tatum, but resume wise, Tatum. The Celtics fans would say Tatum is better.
He's the kind of guy I don't know if I would want to play on his team.
Okay, but you would like to play with Ant over Tatum, you're saying?
I think the ball moves a little bit better. And remember, if I'm on a teammate, that's what I'm looking at, right? Do I get
Who's the best like superstar to play with, you think?
Oh, it's got to be Jokic or Luka. Well, Jokic probably even more than Luka, because Luka will still dominate the ball a lot. And I'm just talking about the ball moving and then you moving and you're getting, that's
Giannis. I would love to play with Giannis, even though I've been critical of Giannis over the years, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, and by the way, as a teammate, he's probably the best teammate in the league or one of them. So I mean, Steph would be really fun to play with too.
That's true. I mean, look, if you're a good passer, I mean, Steph will make you look like an even better passer,
Right, exactly. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up. I got to go record my other pod. I would always start a few minutes late. I don't know how we got the time went so fast, but
good show.
All the super chats. But anyway, who almost hit his head on the backboard postering Beal? Oh yeah, right. And then that was a weird one. So everyone got upset about the SGA video I did and talking about Minnesota. More fuel, I guess, to the fire that Anthony goes up for that alley-oop and Beal pushes him. They don't even call foul until they challenge. It was weird. I got to look at it. Maybe there has to be a foul because you can't challenge a non-call. But whatever it was, they made it to a flagrant, which is what it should have been. You can't push a guy in the air like that. But that was like they're trying to prove, like, look, Anthony Edwards doesn't get anything. The lead referee, but for what it's worth, couldn't see it. He was behind, so he couldn't see the push. But the other two have to get that one. And if they didn't get it, I don't know what's happening, but it's a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks so much, Combo, for being part of the show again, as always. Always good to see you. And I don't know. We'll see if I'll be back next week.
We'll see.
All right. Sounds good. Remember, if you lean too far in front of your mic, then then it sounds like
we'll see.
There you go. So don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Yes, sir.